Japan. I'm coming back to you. There in old Japan.
And
You'll
welcome
make
back to
my
the Nihon no
dreams
Madoguchi Podcast with your host Domo. And
Marty, what's up? What's up? Everything's fine, Domo?
yeah, everything's going good over here. As you guys can probably tell, it's not my usual white background
Right.
wall, that I'm normally where I'm normally at. I'm currently in Shiga Prefecture for work, kind of training, kind of thing. You guys know I'm a CIR on the JET program, and we have like various trainings throughout the year, and this is just one of them. It's a week long training, so
Damn.
we're in a what they call a Kenshu like a training facility. So we're having our lessons and stuff here, but
Mm-hmm.
also sleeping and eating and taking showers and basically living here for the week.
Damn.
And I'm currently in the room that I'll be in for the next week. Uh, so I mean, I am kind of like away from Saga, quite a ways away from Saga, but that's not going to stop us from getting this recording and getting these podcasts out to you guys.
Definitely. The only thing that can stop us our recording is when we get sore throats. So you may not know it because you will not see it by the time we upload everything. But we usually record once a week. But last week we didn't record because I was definitely down with a sore throat. I couldn't speak properly anything because of the Parisian weather. We had a very cold wave, like it was between 0 and 5 degrees. It was awful, and then I was outside right during this freezing wave, and I got a cold. And I'm not as dedicated as Domo that he brings his recording materials even when he does the fieldwork trip. I was like, I have a sore throat, I cannot record today. He was
No,
very
no,
kind
no,
to
no.
me.
We're a sore throat and a podcast just don't go together.
No, I
you
would
know,
say no. I would say no. Yeah.
talking for 45 minutes to an hour would do more harm than good.
Right.
So
Right.
obviously we had to not record last week.
Yeah.
Um, and we
Also,
are here today to get the recording in for you guys.
yeah, so I wanted to say also, I usually don't
Yeah,
have a pleasant voice to listen to. I'm not a baritone. I'm not a very, I mean, we're getting good at casting podcasts and everything, but I am aware that I'm self-aware that my voice is not the best voice in the world. Can you imagine this with a sore throat? When I speak like this for like 45 minutes, no, it's NG, I would say no.
yeah. I mean, I've probably said this a couple times on the podcast now at this point, but I do not like the sound of my voice.
Right.
Every now and again, I say every now and again, every time we make like we upload an episode, I'll go back and I'll rewatch the episode and just to refresh myself what we were talking about, the talking points and things like that, and then I'll post it on social media.
Right.
And as you guys know, we have English and Japanese episodes that we do,
Yeah.
and the Japanese episodes,
You don't
I
like to see
hate
the
it.
truth.
I hate it. I'm not. I don't hate the episode. No, the episodes are fire, but my speaking is
Mm,
sometimes it's hard to watch.
yeah.
Um, and I'm surprised that you guys watch it.
Definitely. Do you
But
know
thank
that
you.
I don't know if this will be the case when we upload this video, but today, so it's about December, our Japanese videos are more viewed than our English videos, which is very shocking because we are definitely not
Yeah.
native speaker, but we have some listeners that are more interested into us listening to us in Japanese, which is very thankful and also very
Yeah.
surprising. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm very grateful that people are tuning into our episodes and especially the Japanese ones. Because as you guys kind of figure out our kind of themes for these episodes, at least for the Japanese ones, are less cultural based and more just kind of like kind of our experiences, things that we kind of like noticed in
Yeah.
our daily lives. Like our we had made a previous recording. I forgot when it was, but it was talking about like our predecessors,
Oh,
like
yes,
our
yes.
Dai senpai,
Hmm.
and that kind of conversation, and like what it's like being a foreigner in Japan for the first time. Um, that kind of conversation. We did that in Japanese.
Mm.
So it was less about kind of like a specific cultural point and
Right.
more just kind of like kind of some advice, or maybe not even advice. It's kind of we're just kind of talking in general, in generalizations, just
Yes.
like about our experiences and the experiences of our predecessors who came many years before us, 1800s,
Yeah.
1900s.
Mm.
So maybe just those general topics are more interesting. I don't know.
Maybe.
And who knows? But uh, today's topic, because we are
Right.
um,
Running.
English today
Yeah.
rather than Japanese, it's gonna be a little bit more cultural based, more culture focused
Exactly.
topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this kind of came about because of something that did happen in my daily life. But
Mm.
our topic today will be table manners in Japan.
その通りです。Table manners
Table
and
manners.
so many differences between Westerns and Japanese. I mean, when I say Western, I have a feeling that maybe American table manners and European, mainly French and Italian, the culture that I know, are also slightly different. I wouldn't say that
Mm,
are as different as you may find in Japanese table manners compared to let's say Westerns as a general. Maybe these same table matters that we will be talking about today are also a thing in Korea, in China, or in all the other
mm,
countries that share the
true,
same
true.
cultural sphere. But that we don't know. If you know, let us know in the
Yeah.
comments. But we will speak only from the Japanese perspective. We will say in Japan they do this, but by no means it is something we pretend it is an exclusivity of Japan.
Yeah.
It's just that that's the only South and not Southeastern. What I was about to say, Northeast Asian country. Southeast Asian country is a different field, although all as much respectable as the northern part. With that said,
No, no.
Domo, please share with us your experience before I say even wronger things like uh, let's get into the topic.
No. It's a common mistake. Southeast
Yeah.
Asia, East Asia. They're right there. But no. Recently this weekend, I was eating with my wife. We were just eating dinner, and we had some karage, some white rice, some hakumai,
Mhm.
and I forgot what the name of the soup was. It was like po tofu.
Pot-au-feu is
Po-
a
Yeah.
French-based
Okay,
recipe.
yeah,
Yes.
I never. She had asked me if I knew what it was. Never
Mm,
heard it a day in my life. And
mm,
so she was like, "Okay, I'll make it." And so she made that.
right.
And so I don't particularly have any like kind of like particular way that I set up my
Mhm.
meals. So you have like the main meal, the rice and the soup. I just
Yes.
kind of put them where
Uh,
I feel is is is
I
is gonna
think
work for me this time around. Yeah.
I think I have an idea
And
where you're heading to.
maybe you do, because I didn't know, and I don't know if this is a Japanese thing
Yeah.
or if it's just a my wife thing,
No, no, I
but
think it's a
I
Japanese thing.
I put my rice. So I'm right-handed,
Right.
and I put my rice on the right side of my menu. Ah, Marty is looking. He's like on the right side of my dish,
I feel you, bro.
and that's apparently a no-no. You're
No,
not
no.
supposed to put
No,
the.
no.
You're supposed to put it on the opposite side of your chopsticks,
Yes,
so that you
exactly.
don't get the rice on your clothes if you like kind of brush over it with when you're trying
Yes.
to get some food. That was new to me. I've been
Uh,
in Japan
that's
a
not the only
total of six
reason.
years.
That's not the
Oh,
only. Yeah, to be honest, sorry to cut you out, but it's not the only
yeah,
reason.
go
Is
ahead, go
that
ahead.
so when you have the table in front of you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say you have the chopsticks in the middle, and
Yeah.
so you first thing that you do is that you take your chopsticks, right? But how do you eat rice? You don't eat rice from the table, right? You eat rice
Mm.
picking the bowl and eating it from the bowl, right?
Oh, oh,
Which
yeah.
means that if you have the ball on the right side of your I mean on the right on your right, and you have the chopsticks on your right, then with your
Oh,
hands you will do a mess of all the other dishes,
interesting.
and also
Interesting.
for the person in front of you, you're like kind of,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm exaggerating here. And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
someday we upload this podcast on Spotify, people will have no idea of what I'm doing with my
They're like,
hands. But uh, that's a reason why you should go to YouTube if you're not listening to this podcast in other
yes,
forms.
yes.
But yes, to come back, so the fact that it would be counterintuitive to have the ball on the right, so if you put it on the left, it immediately you can pick it up and scoop it with your ohashi.
Interesting. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yes.
I've never like literally just I would just I think I would always put the rice on my right hand side
Right.
because it's just closer, right? I'll just
Right.
scoop and then
Yeah.
get my whatever, get this, get the main dish, get some rice,
Right.
and then
Mm.
drink the soup. Right? It worked. It
Right.
never was an issue until recently. And
Mm.
I don't it wasn't a, like nothing happened per se.
Mm.
It was just
No,
she was
no,
like,
no, no.
nope, the rice goes over here. And
Yes.
I was like, I didn't that arigato. That's news to me. How can you meet this?
Mm.
Um so even if you live in Japan for a long time, there's still stuff you're bound
Most
to just
definitely.
not know. You won't ever know everything, and you have to
Exactly.
be open to learning new things, being told that you're doing
Yeah.
things incorrectly, even though you think you're doing it right. Um, and
Totally so.
that having that kind of like that interaction with my wife the other day, it made me want to talk about the other types of different table manners
So
that they
many.
have here in Japan. And it can get a little crazy. I don't say crazy, but it can get a little pedantic with some things, depending on what it is you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe in like on a it can be very pedantic, but then on the other side, it can be very like what's the word I'm looking for? Very, I don't say loose. Loose is not the word. It's very relaxed.
Ah.
In terms of I think Marty might know where I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what I'm thinking about when we're talking about that. Get more into that here in a second.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, rice. That's on the left hand. You pick it
Left hand.
up.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. And I'm glad you have the bowl and the chopsticks to
So
demonstrate
I
because
can show. I
I'm
have
I'm,
some
I'm kind of
props.
I'm at the Kenshu, right? I'm at the
Right.
training facility, so I'm I can pretend that my pencils and pens
No.
are
No. No.
chopsticks. My book is a bowl. Yeah,
how do
yeah,
you call the lady that usually supports the hosting of a TV show, like when, like, the Wheel of Fortune, for example, she puts the letters on
oh
some as does she has an I mean, it's usually a lady, that's why I say a lady, but does she has a name, like a specific uh word? But I will be your lady of the Wheel of Fortune for you, and I will show things while you will be explaining.
no, I know she has a name, and I don't wanna be incorrect and say something that's possibly like
Sexist.
problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just not gonna say anything at all.
Good call,
Um,
good call.
but I think I think yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
never.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
never mind. I won't
never
say
mind.
anything.
Yeah,
But yeah.
But
we'll
just to reassure you, Domo, that you are not the only one that even after some time in Japan or even after being married to a Japanese woman and eating dinner every day for the past 3 years, you're not the only one who gets scolded or at least gets admonished by the layout
oh,
of the table. I must beg that some forgiveness too, because I usually mess up things as well. So don't worry.
hey, we'll all make mistakes at some point, you guys.
Yes,
So
yes.
don't worry about it. Learn from our mistakes here. Put your rice on the opposite side of your main hand.
Yeah. So
If you're right-handed, put it
it's
on the
quite
left side.
easy. It's quite easy. Always put it where the chopsticks indicate to. So if this is the chopstick, so the chopstick is pointed this direction, you should put it in this direction because the chopstick always points. I mean, it's meant to be picked by your leading hand or by the hand you're used to it with. So it should be quite straightforward. You don't have to think it too much. Just think about where you put your chopsticks, and then from that, everything goes. And also, by the way, miso soup or everything that is soup related on the right. I don't know why, because that doesn't make sense to me. Because when you eat miso soup, you're using your chopsticks, but that's the rule. So I abide to the rule
Hey,
like a good citizen.
I don't know. I didn't know that either, but now I do know, and
Yeah,
I'll try to make
on the right.
sure
Yes,
to flip them. Yeah.
because
Um.
realistic. I mean, if you think it logically, you have to put down your chopsticks to bring your soup and drink it, right? The thing is that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the theory, but then in reality, when most Japanese people eat miso soup or other soup, that they scoop up what is inside the goo, the actual stuff that is in the
Mm,
soup
mm.
with the chopsticks. So they're not telling it the story to the full extent of should be told.
Something's not adding up. One plus
No,
one is not
no,
equaling
no, no.
two right now. What's really going on?
Yeah,
We got miso soup. I don't know. I wonder. I've never actually paid attention because I didn't know the rules. But I
right,
wonder how many Japanese people are actually putting their rice on the left hand or on the opposite side, the way the chopsticks point, in
right.
the miso soup on the right. But so in that case,
Yes.
if you say the miso soup's always on the right, but what about people who are hidari kiki,
And
left-handed?
then
So what
you switch it up, I
you just
think.
flip it.
I mean, in the family, if
Okay, that would make sense.
I mean, if you know that they are left-handed, that I think they will. I mean, if you're in a family that you know they are left-handed, that probably uh, do the thing. If you're in a restaurant, you just have to
Interesting.
manually coupon everything by yourself. I don't know.
No, I've never because like I said, I didn't know the rules. So I've never
Yeah,
paid attention to it that well. But now that I
me neither.
do, I'm when I took Pollock Sensei's class at
Ah, yeah.
JTW, when
Yes.
he mentioned the Japanese people bowing on the phone,
Mm,
when, even though there's no one there.
yes.
Once you know about it, then you start to look for it. You tend to look for it, and so from here on out, I'm gonna be expecting every Japanese person's like
You can be pedantic
meal.
about it.
You know, their teishoku. I'm looking at it. I'm like, is the rice on the right side? I don't think so.
Mm,
I don't think so. So I'm gonna have to fix some. Something's not adding up.
right.
But yeah, I mean, so that was kind of my kind of experience that I had this past weekend.
Hmm.
But Marty, have you like had any? I know you said you were talking about your wife,
Ah, yes,
and
yes.
kind of you make a mistake there. But aside from that, like during your time here in Japan, whether that was on the JTW program
Mm,
or when you initially got married to your wife and
right.
you were still living in Japan,
Mm.
did you have any like experiences with either making mistakes or just like when doing the wrong table manners,
Ah,
or more just like did you learn any new like table manners that you
mm,
had not known previously
right.
during your time here in Japan? Or was there, we'll start with those two.
Yeah, 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 don't worry.
But I have more
Uh,
questions. Yeah.
I got you. I got you. I have so many things that actually we could record 2 episodes about this because so many things to talk about. Um, I would start with something funny, which is a obvious
Oh.
table manner, but that I still to this day get it wrong. Mostly
Mm,
because of the tool that I'm using to eat. So when I'm eating Western foods that I have a fork and knife, I don't do this mistake. But when I am eating with chopsticks, I tend to do this mistake,
mm,
which is talking with the things in my hand and pointing at things, or
ah,
my wife with this is a very huge NG both in Japan and in Europe. So you will not do this with a fork, right? You don't speak wavering your fork in this
yeah,
way. But the thing is that with the fork, especially the fork and the knife, at least my eating style, I'm not speaking about everyone. And as you see, I'm gesticulating with my chopsticks in
yeah,
hand. I know. I mean, you have a particular motion when you're eating. Like let's say you're cutting a steak, a T-bone steak or something, or even if you're
yeah, yeah.
eating, when we are not where you're not eating and you're talking with the person in front of you, you usually put the fork back to his place, right?
Yeah.
We have there is more tendency of putting the fork on the table more often, I would say, compared to the chopsticks. And when I'm
Mm,
eating with Japanese, I this motion is the first culprit because this motion and this motion are very close. So that
yeah,
is,
yeah.
I want to put the fault to this, and also because
Interesting.
you're
Yeah, yeah.
picking so much. So the movement, I mean, this is my perspective, so it's not true, but may not be true. But the fact that you're picking things and like moving more, you have a more mobility when you're eating with chopsticks, have a tendency, at least in me, to then when I'm speaking, I'm just gesticulating because I'm Italian, and then I point at
Mm.
things with the chopsticks, which is a no. And my wife gets mad about that very often. She's like, "Stop pointing with your
Uh,
chopsticks." I'm like, I'm sorry. Didn't your parents told you that? Yes, but they told me to not point at people with a fork. We didn't have
yeah.
chopsticks at the time. So yes,
You
that's
know,
one a big
that's
no.
interesting. Because in America, we just like pointing at people in general is a no-no,
Ah,
whether
yes,
it's with
yes.
your finger or
Mm,
with a fork or anything.
mm,
So whether I'm eating or anything, if I'm gonna talk about something or point at
yes.
something or someone, I never do this or this, or, with the
Uh,
chopstick. Um, I guess I've never had that problem. Just
Lucky
because it's
you.
just been not to point at people
Mm,
in general. Um, so I could see how you go from this to
to this,
like
yes.
from here to this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see how
Yeah.
that could be an issue. How that could be a problem.
Well, it's a me
Interesting.
problem. It's not something related to culture in general. So there are other things that you don't have to do or you shouldn't not do. But this is more of like a common sense that I cannot get common in
Okay.
my head. So yes, that was one point, interesting point. Maybe Domo, do you have any funny one or interesting one that you would like to talk about? Because if you don't stop me, I will talk for an hour just about things. So you just have to
No, no.
get
I,
in.
so for like the eating manners, right?
Yes.
It's in America at least.
Yes.
When you eat anything, right? You eat with your mouth closed, right? Keep your mouth. You're chewing with your mouth closed.
Yes.
Um, and whether that's pasta or
Mm,
ramen or and, and you don't you try not to make any noise. It's
right.
not
Yes.
I mean it's not particularly like frowned upon if you like slurp up your noodles, but
Mm,
it's at least in my household it was taught like if you be like you can
yes.
slurp it but don't go
Yeah.
crazy with it. Um in Japan, you go crazy with it.
I-
You slurp. They want you to slurp.
yeah.
That's how
Only
you
noodles.
get
Only noodles, just to be
only
clear.
noodles.
Only
And
noodles.
yeah,
Not other
only
food.
noodles.
Only noodles.
You can't slurp anything else, only noodles, and that's how you get the you slurp it up to keep the the juices on the noodles.
Yeah.
Get it up really fast. Only to get that flavor, and that's the only place in Japan where they would allow
Yes.
uh, what I would consider bad manners.
Mm.
Um, at least in my household, I don't think it might not be a full like American thing, but slurping it was not a thing that was. It was a thing that my mom
Mm.
like got on me about.
Right.
She would get upset with me if
Mm.
we were making a lot of noise while we're eating noodles or pasta or anything like that. Um, so it was very surprising when I came to Japan, and I did have it's kind of a story. It was I think it wasn't my first time eating ramen, but
Right.
I went to ramen with to eat ramen with a supervisor when I was
Mm.
doing my internship, and he spoke pretty decent English, and he was also the person to get me to start drinking Japanese beer as well.
Oh,
I think I may have told that story on the podcast. If I haven't, then I'll
next
tell you
time.
guys another day.
Yeah.
um, but we went to go eat some ramen, and I'm very 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 quiet, with the slurp, like yeah, I'm just getting the noodles in there, and he was like, "What? Why are you so quiet?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Why aren't you slurping?" Is
Right.
what he asked me. And I was like, "Why would I be slurping?" Is how I replied. I was like, is that like a rhetorical question? Are you trying to like give me a riddle here?"
Right.
And he was like, "No, no, in Japan we slurp." And I was like, "You slurp?" He's like, "Yes, we slurp. Or we eat ramen, we eat udon, we slurp, and when we eat
Yes.
any type of noodle dish, we slurp." And I was
Mm.
like, "Why?" He was like, I don't know, we just slurp. I was like, and true enough, when I really like stopped to pay attention to everyone else eating the ramen in the shop we were at, it was very loud. It was
Mm. Yeah. That's how you have to eat them.
it, it was a lot of noise, and I don't know
Mm.
why I didn't notice it until that point. But once he pointed it out again, I was like, oh, okay, we slurping then, and I like even though it was a no back home,
Mm.
I was able to dive head first into the
Right.
into the slurping culture of Japan.
Mm.
Um, and so I don't know if that was really a funny story, but it was more just like a something that happened when I first
Interesting.
came to Japan at a ramen shop with my
Mm.
supervisor.
Right. Also, to be honest, from a gustative point of view as well, if you're not slurping and you're like taking your time to eat them very, because if you don't make sound, makes that means that you are eating them very slowly. By the time you put
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the noodles in your mouth, all the good flavors of the soup
Oh yeah,
would
the
have
flavors,
already
yeah,
dripped down. So you're just eating almost bland pasta, almost bland noodles without
yeah,
all the flavors. And you
the
could
flavors, yeah,
I used to do a method where I used to put some small noodles in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
spoon that they serve you because the ramen
It-
comes in with a spoon
mhm,
usually.
yeah,
And that was very sad too because then I was just eating my
yeah.
small portion of it was not very funny, to be honest.
No,
Uh,
no, no. Like, yeah, when I before I knew you could slurp at the ramen restaurants, all I
mm,
like how I normally would eat like pasta or ramen or something
yeah,
is I would initially get the ramen in my mouth
right.
and then release the chopsticks and just keep scooping it. So
I
I would just
see.
keep going down
Uh,
mm, until it was in my mouth, and that was it. Or maybe I just slurped it really slowly, like
mm, you're losing the
it
flavor.
just depended on how I felt that day. A lot of times I would either do that, and if back home, especially back home, because when we ate instant ramen, uh, obviously we don't use chopsticks a lot in
I use the fork,
America.
yeah.
We use the fork, so you just roll it on the fork and you
Mm,
just put it in your mouth. So there's no slurping involved
right.
anyway.
Mm,
Um, so if you're slurping, you're doing something wrong because
yes.
we're all using a fork,
Mm,
and you're supposed to wrap it on the fork and get it on. So it's I mean, most so there are some people who just kind of scoop
Right.
and then go,
Just
but
go on.
um, yeah,
Mm.
that was I mean that's kind of a common type of table manner
Yes.
here in Japan. When you talk about table manners in Japan, that's one of the ones that comes up. The fact
More
that you can
often, yes.
slurp
Mm.
when you're eating, yeah, more often than not, slurp your noodles, your
Mm.
pasta, anything, your udon. Yeah.
And it's funny, just to put a closure to the slurping thing, it's funny when now that you're used to the Japanese way, the correct way to eat the ramen, at least Japanese ramen, then you go back to
Yeah.
a country like France, for example. Here in Paris, there are a lot of ramen joints. It's like there is a ramen boom
Really?
at the moment. Yes, so many, like probably more than 15 joints, and most of them they are on par with Japanese quality. So we can eat ramen in Paris. Good thing if you want to come to Paris. French food is shit, but
Wow.
ramen is good. And it's funny to go there because I would say 80% of the clients, 80% of the customers are French. They're not Japanese. There are some Japanese as well. Most of them are French, and they are taught to eat with very not making noises, not slurping. Then you come, you get your ramen, and let's say you have close to you there is a couple, or there is like a couple of friends and everything, and they like slurping very slowly, and then you come in, bam, and then they're like, "What is going on? What's happening?" And it's like that's how you have to eat it, and it's a very, it's
No,
always.
it's true.
I recommend you to try this because it's funny to see their faces, and you're like, "No, that's the proper way. I'm sorry, you are in the wrong now."
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I didn't know there was a ramen boom happening in France.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
'cause back in my hometown at least, which is it's Kentucky, so there's not a
Mm.
lot going on, especially in terms of like Japanese cuisine. We do have a few ramen places.
No, oh, really? Hey.
And yeah, they're very expensive, but
Mm.
we do have a few ramen places here. I mean, back home, and are they on par with Japan now?
Mm, no, no.
Uh, I don't think any of them were actually run by Japanese people. They were run by foreigners who probably went to Japan and they maybe learned the ramen. I don't know if they actually learned the ramen technique because it to become like a ramen chef. I don't know what if there's like an official term for it, like a person who makes ramen.
Ramen
Uh,
shokunin.
right, shokuni, right, and like it takes quite a long time. Like for the shugyo, like you like to
It's
be
quite
like a
difficult,
deshiri,
yes.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then going through all the training
Mm.
to learn the secret sauce. Uh, to learn to making that person's ramen and whatnot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Domo,
but
have
I mean,
you
Japanese people do a lot where they
speaking?
go overseas and
Yeah.
learn like something and then bring it back to Japan. So I guess it's not impossible or unheard of.
Mm. Speaking of training to become a ramen master, have you seen the movie Tampopo? Maybe you have not. It's a movie. It's a comedy movie about a woman that trains to become a ramen to a ramen master or make good ramen. I recommend you.
Uh,
It's a very extremely funny movie to watch, and you can find it
Tom
on the internet
Popo.
very easy. Tampopo. Honestly, if you want to learn a lot about Japanese foods and the approach to like the Japanese philosophy about food, in a very comedic and funny and sometimes unrealistic way. That would be my number one recommendation. Tampopo, 10 out of 10, banger comedy. It's very funny. A little bit outdated. It was shot in the early 90s or end of the 80s.
Ooh,
I think it was released in 94 because it's the year I was born. That's why I remember it maybe.
mm,
But yes, recommendation for today's episode, Tampopo. You will take me later.
I'll go ahead and add on to that.
Definitely.
I'm not as cultured as Marty,
Nah, nah, nah.
so we're gonna get a little degenerate around here.
Right.
Soma.
There
Uh,
you go. There you go. That's and
food
also
wars.
another
Yeah, if you're watching this podcast, you probably have already seen some food wars.
probably.
Um, there's kind of like going off topic. There's quite a few anime a cooking anime,
Ah,
or
yes,
anime
yes.
related to cooking.
Mm,
And, maybe not even cooking. Right? There's so many different anime about so many different things. It's kind of
mm,
ridiculous.
yeah.
But obviously, like I said, you have Shokugeki no Soma. You have one called Yakitate Japan, which is
Also, yes.
about baking bread.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to have the Taiyo no Te, which is nice.
Right.
Um, Another one called Chu Kaichiban, and it's
Didn't know
actually
that.
not about Japanese cuisine. It's about Chu Karyori, right?
Mm,
And so he
yeah.
wants to be the number one Chu Karyori nin
Mm,
shokunin, like the best Chinese, cook, the in Japan, I guess. I'm vague on the on what the story was for
right.
that one, but he was one of those tensai who was just he
Mm,
was just really good. I think, and this might be crossing my wires between Chuka Ichiban or in Yakitate Japan,
right.
but I remember specifically there was a scene. It's got to be Chuka, but our main character made a dish, and it was like in some type of tournament. The judge, is eating all everyone's dishes or whatever. And they're like, okay, yeah, okay, really good, you pass, really good, you pass, really good, you pass. They get to or really, terrible, you fail. There's people who fail as well. Get to the main character, they eat his dish, and they literally die and go to heaven for like
What?
for like 5 minutes or something. He goes to heaven. He's looking down. He's like, "Did I just die?" And he's talking to like some other people who've had his food or something like that. And
Hmm.
he like they're like, "Oh, it's not your time. You got to go back." He goes back and he's like, "That was the best. Whatever he ate, he had ever had in his life." So there's some fusake taiyatsu as well
Hmm.
amongst the food anime.
I see.
Um, and most
Also,
recently, I think they have one called Dungeon Mishi.
ah, yes, it
Uh,
was I didn't watch it, but yes, it was also buzzing up recently. Yes.
quite quite a hit amongst the youth.
Mm.
um,
It's not super centrated to food, like it's not like Shokugeki no Soma or something like this where the food is at the center of the story. But something that is very interesting, also related to food, is this live action series called The Midnight Dinner. It's on Netflix. In Japanese, it's Shinya
Diner, yeah,
Shokudo. It was
yeah,
originally a
yeah.
manga that then got transposed into live action drama. There is also a movie. I've not watched the movie. That is also very nice to see. I mean, it's usually like human drama or human things going on, and then at the end, they tied it up with some food. That is also very
Yeah.
interesting. They often show you Japanese food and makes you get
Mm.
very hungry if you if you want to enjoy your Japanese food. Watch Midnight Diners. That's also a very nice segue to Japanese food, I would say.
Yeah, interesting. I think it's gonna be a reoccurring
Mm.
theme throughout, our podcast. But
Yes,
there is so much that you can learn from manga and anime about Japanese culture, whether
definitely.
that be about food, whether that be about art or ukiyo-e,
Mm.
right? Whether it be about uh, karuta,
Yeah.
right? Chihaya furu, right? You have
Mm.
stuff about that. You have stuff about gold, right? Eagle.
Yeah.
You have anime about goodness,
Everything.
haiku.
Mm.
I don't know if there's one. I don't know if there's an anime about haiku. I'm gonna have to take that back, but there's definitely a manga about it,
Right.
and I'd have to figure out what the name was again. But long story short, if you're interested in anything Japanese, like culture wise, in terms of like you wanna dive,
Right.
more on a deeper level,
Mm.
um, you can probably find a manga about it if you look hard
Definitely.
enough.
Definitely.
Um,
Yes. That's
um,
that's
so
very
don't,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
And I was listening to another podcast. It was talking about Japan in general, and they had one interesting perspective that they were saying that Japan is most probably one of the unique countries where they take inspiration from their culture to make cultural products. That's something that would be
Mm,
unthinkable in the West. So there is no comics, there is no Italian comics or American comics about like traditional food or everyday food. We don't have a comics in Italy about pizza, and I suppose you don't have a comics in America about burgers or fries
yeah.
or uh, coleslaw or everything. But in Japan, they have not one, like uncountable numbers of
A
manga
lot.
that are
Yeah.
centered around food. And this applies to everything. Like wherever they can take some inspiration, they blend it together with their like storytelling, and puff, you have a manga about ego. You have a manga about many mangas about takyu or manga about anything like kabuki, or they have a manga about
Yeah. Yeah.
rakugo.
Well,
So
well, why?
that's crazy. So that's I mean, Captain Obvious here. One of the best way to
Yeah.
learn about Japan is consume the cultural contents and always find more and more and fall into that rabbit hole, and you will see like so many crazy and deep things that you maybe one life does not suffice to check everything, to be honest.
No, yeah, like literally. So as of this recording,
Yes,
we've just uploaded our 16th episode
yes.
for the podcast, marking 1 year. Woohoo!
That we did
Yeah,
not celebrate at all.
we not celebrated.
At
That wasn't planned. Okay,
no.
we just kind of we're going with the flow over here.
Yes.
But and because we just uploaded it, we made it, we just made it public, went public with it. So I had y'all rewatched it, and Marty was saying it best. You know, we were talking about how um like how we got interested in Japan and in Japanese and things like that. And for Marty, he got in through art.
Yes.
You know, kind of if you want to like over like kind of like simplify it through manga, but
Mm,
through the manga he read and he was reading, he learned about art and
mm,
ukiyo-e and yokai,
yes.
and that he wanted to know more about that, and that's where he kind of really kind of started going deep. And you'll find this quite like this kind of like common thread amongst foreigners here in Japan. Not all of them,
Mm,
typically amongst the foreigners who are Jozu at Japanese, who speak Japanese on a proficient level.
right.
Um, we tend to go deep
Mm,
about type of time. Once you get to a certain level of Japanese, you can then interact with the content on a deeper level. You have access to things that you didn't have before, and so you'll be able to go deeper and deeper into anything that you're interested in, you and it just happens naturally, right? For Marty, and we're definitely gonna do an episode about this at some
mm.
point. But Marty has so many different like
As you
like
can see from the
paintings.
background,
There's nothing behind us right now,
it's
behind
always
him right
hidden
now,
there.
but I'm very much looking forward to some of the stuff that he's collected over the years, just because of his pure interest in art and in Japanese history and things like that. Um, Having something that you're truly interested in, um, will help the language learning process go by,
Ah, yes.
quickly as well, right? Because you'll if you can find something that you're interested in and start focusing on that in Japanese, how to talk about that, the different words and phrases that you use when you're doing that thing, it'll really become much more enjoyable, even when you're kind of you have to sit through the grind and study on your own for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah. Please, right? Media is the way to
It's
really get
just
deep.
there.
Yeah,
Is there for you. And I think with those beautiful last inspiring words, we came to a closure. We didn't speak a lot about table manners now that we think about it. We just, if you
we talk.
just listen,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the case, but if you just listen to this podcast, the only thing that you may have learned today is that you can slurp when you eat ramen and you don't have to point at people, which is okay.
I,
We may need
I,
to to come up with a part two at some point. But yes,
yeah. We could do a part two and
probably
actually kind of talk about some more
exactly.
table manners in depth.
Yeah,
Um, But I also had a few in mind that I wanted to
Mm,
talk about,
right.
but as the conversation goes and it flows, and we start going, a couple of places
To
here,
the
it's hard to
tangent
get it
here
back.
and there.
It's hard to get it back, So um,
I would say
we'll do part two. We'll do part two.
we
Yeah,
are very much in sync with the Japanese philosophy of ukiyo. Ukiyo means floating words, but in a kind of different sense. We are floating through topics here and there, and we never go to the point. And I would say with
yeah,
this, right through the conclusion, thank you very much for listening, everyone. We're always very thankful. People are listening more and more, which is impressive. We have 10 views in the last episode in
yeah.
less than 24 hours. I was like, what's happened? Very impressed. We have to become a little bit more professional now. But yes, thank
We're
you
gonna
very
be
much.
monetizing soon.
Long way ahead of us. Stay independent. No money.
Not yet, not yet. We
Yeah,
don't need the man coming at us yet.
not yet, not yet.
Offering sponsor deals and whatnot.
Yeah, so yes, thank you very much. Leave a comment if you like below. And see you next week or in 2 weeks. We'll see how many episodes we are able to get in the bank before. So we have nothing left to say but soigi.